Well, the effectiveness of the new alcohol lockouts in the Cross and the CBD have been brought into question by the acknowledgement from the New South Wales government that people will still be able to do, as they have been doing, buy 4 drinks right up to 3 a.m, which is the point at which the clubs that are in these exclusion zones will have to stop serving drinks. Now, the implication there is that someone can buy 4 drinks and then sit on those 4 drinks over the next hour or two, and at 5 o'clock a whole new day starts under these regulations, so some places may then be able to keep serving. So the idea is you keep drinking during that 2-hour period, the 4 drinks that you've purchased. Now, the Minister, George Souris, is making the point that you've always been allowed to buy 4 drinks up to whatever the time a place closes, and the idea is you can buy 4 drinks for other people. So instead of everyone queuing individually, one person walks over, they buy the 4 drinks, they take them back, they buy a round or a shout. And he says that under the responsible service of alcohol guidelines, if someone's buying 4 drinks for themselves and they are inebriated or look like they're on the verge of being inebriated under those responsible service of guidelines, alcohol guidelines, a strike could be levelled against a pub or a club if they sell to that person, and that could lead to them having severe sanctions taken against them. The truth is, if you wanted to be serious about this, you'd introduce some sort of phasing in period, and you might say that in the hour leading up to 3 a.m, individuals can only buy 1 drink. Now, that would mean that there'd be long queues, of course, at the bars if we look at the practicalities of all of this. What all of this nitpicking, the holes in all of this demonstrate is that you've got a culture now which is going to be very, very hard to unpick. You might argue that if people stay in a place at 3 o'clock and drink a bit longer, that it may produce fewer people on the streets at 3 o'clock en masse and may reduce what the objective of this is, fewer drunks on the streets and less violence on the streets. So we will see. I think the most salient point in all of this came in an interview that was done over the weekend with John Ibrahim, the unofficial king of the Cross. He was very critical of these measures. He talked about large numbers of people being dumped on the streets at 3 o'clock. He said that young people will simply go out earlier. So at the moment they go out at 11, they start their night. He thinks they'll just start a couple of hours earlier, they'll start their night at 9. Now, if that's the case, it may well be that this is going to achieve something, because what we've seen in recent years is young people go out later and later, and they stay out right through the night till the very early hours when there's no transport after 3 o'clock, when there are no trains and ways to get home. In the so-called older days, at the risk of sounding like an old fart, you'd go out much earlier. You'd go out at 8:30 or 9, and you might decide to go home at 1 or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. So if, as John Ibrahim says, the kids, the Gen Ys, will start to go out earlier, start their night earlier, then maybe this will achieve some sort of a cultural shift where people will go out earlier, will go home earlier, will get into bed and get some sleep, and maybe this drinking culture may have just a few of the edges taken off it. We can only hope.